Hello, class. We're now on Chapter 7, Dialogue, Creating and Communicating Value. And we're going to continue doing projects. We have the email project coming up. We also have the final sales presentation, which is a PowerPoint. And although we're not doing this in person, we could still role play it. We could still make it as if we were going to deliver this in person. And that's how we're going to proceed with this class. Sales dialogues should be engaging. They should address our buyer personally. They should encourage feedback. Remember, we don't want to talk the whole time. We want to hear things back from the customer. Checkbacks and response checks. I talked about this a little bit in the last video, talking about trial closes. It's similar. How does this sound to you? Does this make sense so far? What do you think? Because whether it's an email or a phone call or an in-person meeting, if you just keep going on and on and on, and then 15 minutes later, you're like, and you say, how does that sound to you? And they're like, oh, you lost me in that first minute. You just wasted 14 minutes because you didn't check in with the client. So that's the whole purpose of why sales is more of a dialogue. It's not a lecturing tool. You want to keep it back and forth, asking questions, making sure that the customer's engaged. If the customer's disengaged, you're not selling them correctly. And so checkbacks and callbacks are a great way of doing that. They should be built into your sales presentation, but not actually on the PowerPoint, but maybe you can put it on an index card that you carry in your pocket for notes, or in this assignment, you can put it in the speaker notes area, which is it's an area that only the speaker sees. So the customer doesn't see it, but you see it. That's a good way to use those, especially for a new salesperson. The nether topic in this chapter is creating customer value. People don't care about features, people care about benefits. So something I always like to say is, feature, this car has 10 side impact airbags. Okay, that's great, but what does that mean? So rather than saying we have 11 side impact airbags, you can say we have the highest safety rating in all cars, especially with side impact airbags, which have shown higher crash ratings and better safety in any kind of collision. Or with the iPhone, the feature is it's a 12 megapixel camera, but the benefit is crisper, cleaner, higher quality photos, so that you can make sure that when you take a photo that it is a clear and it will preserve that moment forever, whether it's a family moment or whatever it may be. So you see where the feature is the actual specifications, which people don't really care about. People care about why. Why does this nice camera matter? So what's the benefit? That's another really important thing that you're selling. You're selling a benefit. You're not selling the features. And then we get into different dialogues and using sales aids. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in a later chapter of just, with a PowerPoint, it's a visual aid. It's not the salesperson. So it should be lots of pictures. It should be very visual. Most of the talking should be a dialogue, a back and forth, a call and response between the buyer and the seller. And then there's a few different options here. And that's the gist of this chapter, is a little more hit tips with making sales presentations and some ideas. Okay? That moves us into the second part of this next week, which is the 7 habits of highly effective people. And here on the Wikipedia page, you can see the 7 habits. Number 1, be proactive. Number 2, begin with the end in mind. 3, put first things first. 4, think win-win. 5, seek first to understand then to be understood. And 6, synergize. Oh, and then lastly, sharpen your saw. Now you might be wondering, what the hell does this mean? And you can read the book. I highly recommend getting the book. It's super cheap. It's been around for a really long time. It's sold so many copies. You can get the anniversary edition, the old edition. They're all very, very similar. Just make sure it says the 7 habits of highly effective people. Because if you go on eBay, there's like the highly effective teens. We don't want that one. But this is an older version, the #1 international bestseller. But it's similar content. But as you can see, you can get it as cheap as like $3.84 with free shipping. However, do know that if you buy on eBay, make sure it'll get to you in time, because the homework is due on Sunday. So make sure that you get it ahead of time. Otherwise, you can buy the Kindle edition for $2.50, the ebook. If you go to the assignment, I'm only requiring you to read the first chapter that's all we're going to be doing in this class. I highly recommend you do a lot more than that. I think it's a great book. I've had a couple sales jobs now where they make it mandatory to read this book. It's as you saw, international bestseller, New York Times bestseller. It's highly regarded. Stephen Covey, he's no longer with us, but considered one of the best self-help books out there. And whether you're going into sales or not, I think these habits are extremely useful for anyone. And the idea is if you can implement these habits, you could be a successful salesperson, a successful business person, a successful in your personal life. I think it really does transcend or go into many aspects of your life. So the assignment is read chapter 1 and then answer these questions here. You just pull up a Word document and answer these 4 questions. For a full day, listen to your language and to the language of people around you. So this one does require you to just spend the day and be a little bit more mindful about what kind of language you're using. For example, like if only, I can't, or the word just, J-U-S-T, is it just that? I also look at words like they. I don't like that word. I don't like the word but, B-U-T. And when you start to really think about it, and what words you're choosing to use, I think it's very interesting. And so I'd like you to give it a try and see what you come up with yourself. Number 2, identify and write about an experience you might encounter soon where based on past experience you would probably behave reactively. Review this situation in the context of the people around you and how they influence you. How do you respond in a more proactive way? How might you be more proactive about the situation? So reactive versus proactive. And there's definitions of that in the book, as well as you can use Google and share your experience with that. Number 3, select a problem from your work or personal life that is frustrating to you. Write it down. Determine whether it is direct, indirect, or no control problem. Again, he'll identify what these mean in the book. Identify the first step you could take in your circle of influence to solve it. Write it down and then take that step. So in this assignment, just write it down. And if you could take this step and then tell me what ended up happening, that would be great. It would also help you fill up your 1 page of mandatory length. If you want to write more, that's great. And then the last one, describe the experience of taking the steps, what happened. Okay, so this is actually the second part of that question. And you will write that out here. So as you see, if you're starting this on Sunday night, you are not going to get the full effect of this assignment. So please start sooner because I want you to get the most out of this assignment. It's not just to get the assignment done. I really think this is going to personally benefit you. So please, please, please take it seriously. It's a great assignment. So there you go. Chapter 7, as well as the 7 habits of highly effective people. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'll see you on Canvas.